Hello, hello. Welcome to Kids Up Roots. I'm Carolyn May, your garden coach, and we are here to answer your questions. In this episode, I'm going to give you all an intro to soil blocking. What the heck is soil blocking? I'm sure some of you are scratching your heads or you've heard of this term and you're wanting to find out more. And well, I'm here to give that to you. I found out about soil blocking probably 3 or 4 years ago. I was introduced to the idea through seed catalogs and other YouTube videos, and I thought that is fascinating. And I really wanted to give it a try. But like so many of the questions that were sent to me about soil blocking, there was a lot of fear around how much does it cost? What materials do I really need? That soil mix seems really complicated. Is it worth it? Is it something a beginner can do? Like these were all of the questions I had myself. And so today I'm going to answer them for you. I'm going to make some soil blocks and demonstrate the process. And I'm also going to be planting some pre-sprouted dahlia seeds and show you how I plant my dahlia seeds. And we're going to use soil blocks to do it. So first off, what is soil blocking? Soil blocking, simply put, is compacting soil into little chunks that hold their shape and putting the seed into them. And the theory and the science behind it is that as the plants grow and the roots fill that soil, when they reach the outside, they stop. It's called root pruning. When you have cell trays and you plant your seedlings in cell trays and they have that plastic exterior or a terracotta exterior, anything like that, they reach the side of the pot and what do? They begin to circle. They don't stop growing, they just keep circling. And that can lead to all kinds of problems when it's time to plant them out. If you leave the roots circling, they will continue to circle in the soil. So you have to tease them apart to get them to go out the way they're naturally supposed to. And it can stunt the plants and really set them back so that it takes them a while to really get off to the races when they're in the garden. Soil blocking, because of that natural air pruning, when the roots reach the edge of the soil block, they just stop growing. There's too much light, too much oxygen, and they don't have this, they know they don't have the stable structure to keep growing, so they stop. And so what that does is when you take your soil block and you put it into the ground, the roots are just ready and waiting to take off, and they do. This might be the first year that I have made them myself, but I have seen them in other gardens. And last year I helped a local flower farmer plant a whole row of calendula starts that she had soil blocked. And she even gave me some squash and some pumpkin and melon starts that were all in soil blocks. So I have handled them. I've seen what they look like when they have the plants in them, but this is the first time I've made them myself and I've started my seeds in them. So I'm sharing my process as a beginner and then comparing it to my experience and what I think. So with that, let's get into some of the questions specific to this episode. Okay, so some of the questions I got about getting started, that whole, do I want to invest in this? Where do I begin? I had a question come in from the Deeply Rooted Home. Where do you snag your trays? Already have my soil blocker. That's awesome. Way to go. The trays, things that I've heard for trays. You want something with low sides because it will allow for air circulation. So some growers say the standard 10-20 trays that are, the higher sides, not great for soil blocks because they can, sit too wet. There's no drainage for those soil blocks. So if the soil blocks aren't allowed to dry all the way and have good airflow, they could rot, get fungus, get mildew, all kinds of different things. So lower sides are better from what I've been told. But if you have regular 10-20 trays and you want to use them, give them a shot. Just leave a little extra wiggle room around them. Don't press them in too tight and they should be okay. Let's see. You can get all kinds of information about the specific tools that you need from lots of different places. The soil blocker that I have, this design is from Ladbroke, which is a British company. The engineer who came up with this designed it based on the soil blocking that's been going on in Europe for a long, long time as a tool. And it's now being imported in the States. And so you can order this online on Amazon. You can get it through a lot of seed companies, different places. And they're pretty much all the Ladbroke design, no matter where you get it. If you look, it's probably a Ladbroke. The advantage of getting a tool like this is efficiency. You can do DIY soil blocks using tin cans, using all kinds of crazy things, but it takes a lot of time to make one. And if you are a production grower, having this efficiency is going to save you a ton of time. Time is money. If you are a home gardener, you might have the time to make them yourself. And if that's so, great. I have a friend who went to a Japanese supply store and she got a whole bunch of rice molds that were shaped like little flowers and other things. And she used those for soil blockers. So just be creative. The idea is just to compress the soil and put your seeds in it. But if you want efficiency, investing in something like this, like it's an investment, but I think it's worth it. Because not to mention, when you buy cell trays, those cell trays, they will eventually deteriorate, break down, crack, and you're going to need to replace them. Unless you buy the really industrial ones, which are also a very hefty investment. Like really, this will pay for itself in no time. And I don't have to have a ton of trays and different things in storage. I can just have my soil blocking stuff. Do you cover your seeds? Okay, that's something. It really depends on the seed itself. You have to follow the directions on the seed packets because some seeds like snapdragons, they require light to germinate versus Johnny jump ups require darkness to germinate. So those things, if it requires light, you don't need to cover it. You can put a little vermiculite over the top as a medium that will help to retain the moisture. Or you can leave them open. Just make sure to cover them so they don't dry out. Dry seeds are dead seeds. So don't let your seeds dry out. That's the biggest key for whether or not to cover them. What else? Can the plants stay in these or do they have to move them to bigger containers after a while? That depends. So I have the 2-inch soil block. It's a 2-inch square. You can get one that is smaller. It is 3/4 inch, and the 3/4 inch, I believe it's 20 soil blocks, a 4x5 grid, and they're very small. And a lot of flower farmers swear by those because a lot of flower seeds are very small, and the plants can be small when they go into the garden, and there's no need to pot them up into larger sizes. When you buy these, this one, it came with these little dibblers here, and then I purchased these ones. These ones are designed for those 3/4 inch ones to fit inside, and I'll show you what that looks like when I make some soil blocks in just a minute. So if you have something like, say, a tomato, you start in a 3/4 inch and you want to pot it up, you can pot it on in one of these. You make the dibble, you put it in here, and you're good to go. There are, oh, squeaky. There are also 4-inch soil blocks where you can get a 2-inch dibbler. And so then you can move up your 2-inch into the 4-inch. But from my understanding, from pretty much everyone I've talked to, nobody does it. The people that start in the 3/4 inch find their groove. They don't really mess with moving them up to the 2-inch. It's a waste of time. I have other people that say, I just do the 2-inch because the 3/4 inch dries out way too quickly and I don't have time to babysit my seedlings 3 times a day to make sure they don't dry out. That's a waste of my time. So you have to think about who you are as a grower and how you're going to use them, and that will help you decide what size soil blocker to get and what you want to try. And if you want to give it a try, ask around. I bet you anything there's somebody in your community who has them and might be willing to let you try or lend a hand in their seed starting endeavors. And then you can gain some experience, hands-on experience, and then decide whether it's something you want to do or not. Let's see, what else do we have? So is it something a novice gardener should consider? Just a small backyard home garden? It's really up to you. If you're doing just like a one, raised bed garden or some containers, maybe just making paper pots is the way you want to go, or making some toilet paper rolls, or going to the hardware store or the garden center and getting some recycled pots. I've gotten a lot of recycled pots that I use every year instead of buying new containers over and over. But when you're thinking of less plastic, less waste, invest in this once and it's going to last you. I mean, this will last for decades. I don't see this going bad anytime soon. It's galvanized. It's not going to rust. This is a well-made tool. What types of plants can or cannot be started in the soil blocks? I would love to have your experience. Leave them in the comments because I don't have a ton of experience. I have had some people say they don't do their beans or sunflowers or squash or anything big into the soil blocks, but quite frankly, a lot of those big seeds can be direct sowed and they don't need to be started inside. Another friend who is my sweet pea guru was saying, I soil block most everything, but she said, I don't soil block my sweet peas because they have deep tap roots and they really like 4 inches of soil depth. And so I have a flat of sweet peas and I said, hey, maybe we should compare. Her name is also Carolyn. So perhaps I'll find out more information on that to see if that'll work or not. But really, from what I understand, you can do most flowers, most herbs, most vegetables in a soil block and have success. When in doubt, try it out for yourself and see. And yes, please leave comments if you have experience and share them with the rest of this community. The biggest question I got when I was talking about soil blocking was the soil mix. There's lots of recipes out there and people are like, what do I do? I'm scared to do it wrong. Is it going to fall apart? What's going to happen? So I thought I'd break down the ingredients so you kind of understand what they're doing, and that will help you in whatever you're using to adjust it to get the right texture that you need to bind your soil blocks together nice and firm. So first you need a binder, something to hold in all of that material so it doesn't fall apart, and also to retain moisture. And that's often achieved with either sphagnum peat moss or coconut coir. Peat moss is a mined substance that is not sustainable, and there's a lot of debate around that one. And I'm looking for more and more research from lots of people about the use of peat moss. But for me personally, it's not what I go to. I tend to mix in the coconut coir as a byproduct of the coconut processing industry. Yes, it does travel, but it is not hurting the environment in the same way from my understanding. But I'm still learning and still growing. And I'm hoping, because neither one of those is truly sustainable to my homestead, I'm going to experiment with the moss growing on my roof to see if that might work as my binding agent, because that's truly sustainable because it's a byproduct that I don't want growing on my roof. We'll see. So the next thing you need is some sort of compost that's going to give you your organic matter. It's going to give some tilth to your soil blocks. And then eventually that compost is going to give nitrogen back to the soil and help your plants grow. And then you often have things like worm castings. That's a compost. Worm castings are really gentle but full of life and really amazing to add to your soil blocking mix. And then you'll have things like green sand or rock phosphate suggested. And what those are just basic plant fertilizers. Green sand is a potassium source, and rock phosphorus is a slow release phosphorus source. Both of those help with root development, plant growth, efficient water usage in the plant, and just help those little seedlings get the best start possible. If you can't find green sand or you can't find rock phosphate, just get a well-balanced starter fertilizer, and then follow the instructions. They generally will have instructions for seed starting. Just don't put in too much. I'm still working through mine, so I don't have this is the recipe, but I have some recipes in the description below of sources that I have gone to, and they have tested them. They have the experience. Like I said, I'm new, so I'm not going to claim that I have the answer. I'll put those in the description below. And you can also buy pre-made mixes if that's what you want to do. The mix that I'm working with today is actually just an organic potting mix that has vermiculite. It has a bunch of organic stuff from mushroom compost and chicken manure and a lot of different things. And then I added some worm castings from my worm bin and coconut coir. So I tried it once with just the potting mix to see if could you just use potting mix, and it did make soil blocks, but they're really, really fragile. So until those roots start to really fill out the soil block, I'm not going to be touching them very much at all. And I really want to have something a little bit more stable, so I added the coconut coir to it. So with that, let's make some soil blocks. I'm going to get my computer out of the way. Normally, I do this outside. It's okay to get dirty, but for right now, we're just doing it on a cookie sheet because that was the flat, low-sided surface that I could find. Ugh. And my gloves are already a little dirty. Okay, we're going to make this work with my microphone. I'm going to try not to hit it. So your moisture or your mixture, you want it to be really moist. Err on the side of more water than less. And you can see as I squeeze it, there's a lot of water in here. All right, and then to make the soil blocks, I have my blocker and I have a tray. This is just a recycled tray from we had some cod last week for dinner that was really yummy. And then I wanted to show you guys the difference between the 3/4 inch dibblers and the regular nipple dibblers to see what they look like. So the way you make your soil block, I'm going to stand up for this, is you get the soil in, kind of mound it up. Don't hang up here, hang on to this little bar right here. Kind of squiggle it back and forth, and kind of move it back, and then get some more and really press down. You really want to get it in there nice and firm. And when you have it all in, kind of scrape it off the side. Oh, see, that one didn't get full. Let's try that again. Okay, get it that time. Oh, that one does not want to get full. If you need to use your hands, you use your hands. And again, I'm not an expert. I'm new at this, but I can do it, so you can do it too. All right, they're in there. Now I have my tray. I'm going to put it in here. I'll turn it this way. I'm going to put it in here, hold down firm, and as I'm pushing down, I pull it up. And there are my soil blocks. So you can see the one with the little nipple has this little spot to receive the seeds, and here is a much larger hole. Now, if you were trying to plant a larger seed, like peas or beans or something bigger, you could put it in here and then cover it, or something that needs darkness. You put your seed in there, put a little bit soil on top, and you're good to go. And then this one is a good one for smaller seeds. So sometimes you'll have little spots like this. And again, I'm new. I'm sure with a lot more practice, my soil blocks might be more perfect. And I actually just got these ones today. I'm learning, I'm figuring it out, I'm trying something new. But that's a soil block. And so these little blocks that are in here, if they are well formed, like they're going to hold their shape pretty well. I mean, if I, squeeze it, yeah, it's going to fall apart. So you want to make sure that you press them well, get them in there, and that's pretty much it. So now let's plant some seeds. These are dahlias that I saved from my garden, dahlia seeds, and they have sprouted, or some of them have sprouted. Here you have one that has a lovely root growing on it. That one's really ready to go in. More so, I want to find the ones that look like that. That's the perfect stage for planting them. This one, honestly, is a little bit more sprouted than I would like normally. But I wanted to wait to do this and show you. And so I have that one, and there's another one that's sprouted. And the rest of these haven't sprouted, so I'll let them sit a little bit longer to see if they will germinate. But to plant dahlia seeds, I'll just do one at a time. All I need to do is I have my little spot right here. I want the seed about halfway in and out of the soil. So I'm going to take my little seed, and you can see it sticking out right there. That's it. So the first part that comes out of the dahlia is the root. And what's going to happen is this little seed pod, as the leaf emerges, the little cotyledon seed leaves come out, that shell husk is going to fall off, and you'll have a lovely little dahlia. So this one will do the same thing. You just carefully nestle that in there. And we will see how these dahlias grow in a soil block. Now for this one that has the bigger root, I might take this one and instead put it in the larger hole, and then take some of the soil. And where did you go? Oh, there it is. So these seedlings here, once they have their leaves pop out, I'm going to make sure they go under grow lights really close up. They need lots and lots of good warm heat. And then as they grow steadily, move them farther away from the light, and they will be ready to go in the garden. Now, I will say it is late January, the day that we're shooting this, and it's way too early to start dahlia seeds in Washington. I know this because last year I tried growing from seed, and I started them at this time, and they got huge. And then I ended up with a dahlia forest in my dining room, and my husband was not so happy with me. I mean, I got a lovely collection of new dahlias to grow from those seeds, but normally you should start your dahlias maybe 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost, and you should be good to go. As long as they have about 100 days to develop tubers from the time they go in the ground, you'll have tubers to harvest in the fall, and you can save your new favorite dahlia that you can name because it's a brand new one for next year. That's my little demo on intro to soil blocking. I hope it was helpful. I hope my fumbling with soil blocking a little bit today gives you guys confidence to give it a try. We don't have to be experts at this stuff in the garden. Gardening is a journey. It is a learning process. We don't all know everything. And I would love to learn alongside all of you and help you. I want to help you. Yeah. Please leave questions about soil blocking, about dahlia seeds, about anything else you would like to anything else you would like to know, and I will try my best to get back to you. I can't guarantee that I will answer all the questions because I get a lot. If you want to have that guarantee, you can always sign up to be one of my actual clients in garden coaching. I have offers for either monthly coaching or a full year of garden coaching where I will be your coach. And you can find information about that on my website. That's it for this episode of Ask a Garden Coach. Please like and subscribe if you would be so kind. Words are failing me right now. Oh well. I would like that a lot. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.